in relationship problems with others and disorganizing. So they
Mm,
are kind of time. I didn't know about that, and it was kind of new for me.
mhm. So I've had students, or I've heard of students rather. I don't know that I've personally had students with dyslexia. I think dyslexia is when the student transposes words or omits words altogether when they are reading. Is that right?
Yeah, it was also mentioned that they have dysgraphia, I think. They kind of missing some words and cannot write appropriately and missing some punctuation. It was also mentioned.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they need more time to read the text,
I
as
see.
I understand.
Hmm. Is
Mm-hmm.
there a particular age group that has this dyslexia, or is it across the board population?
Oh, I I haven't learned about that yet. It was kind of I have read just on the introduction part,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure, but it's a good question. I need to learn about that more. And there was a one question before starting this course. Dyslexia. So more boys have this disability
Hmm.
than girls, but
Really?
I'm not sure. I didn't
Okay.
want just saying yes. There was this kind of question, and I checked just on one answer that I'm not sure in it.
Okay. So let's just take a look at blog on Dyslexia. Let's talk about dyslexia today and see what we find out. How to start blog, the gift blog. So I'm going now to find something in a dyslexic child, what to do. So this one is about,
Also, I learned.
Mhm.
Uh, I learned that these students have some attention problems also.
Mm,
But we cannot include here attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder. It's completely different from that. We cannot include this disorder also to dyslexia. It's completely different, separate.
oh, really?
We should be careful to diagnose this disability skills of the students, as I understand.
Hmm. So what I think, let me know if you can see my screen. Dyslexia.
Yeah,
You, okay.
yeah, I saw it.
So let's just read about dyslexia and find out. Start with this is not. Could you read?
Okay. Uh-huh. This is not an easy situation for many of us. Children in coronavirus era still have dyslexia, but now the parent is responsible for how the child handles school duties. So dyslexia and what's next.
Okay,
You may
continue.
notice
Hmm.
Mhm. You may notice that your child gets very tight when reading, writing, or something counting. It is about tense muscles and crouched body nerves, hand movements, sometimes rubbing the eyes, a difficult expression, a mistake, and the first symptoms of stress appear. A second slip up and the stress intensifies. Next, the child can be pounding on the book with fists. The nerves are so intense in this state that it's really hard to expect a child to read correctly. So, can I ask one question? I don't
Sure.
understand the word crouched. What does crouched mean?
Okay, so you see how I'm sitting up nice and straight,
Uh-huh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and now I'm bent over.
Oh, okay. This one is kind of crouched, yes?
That's crouch. Usually you will see
Uh,
children, just normal children, they crouch when they have done something wrong and they feel as if they're going to
mm-hmm,
be punished. They kind of cower down or
mm-hmm.
crouch down like, I'm sorry. So that's crouch.
Oh,
Hmm. Great question.
oh, okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mhm.
So next one. That's why the first thing we do in a Davis dyslexia program is learning to relax. We start with specific techniques to teach the child how to calm down. We don't allow reading until the practice of relaxation rebuffs the panic attacks. A child who is stressed doesn't stand a chance of working properly, just like us. After all, we adults are also not exactly ourselves in nervous situations. For example, it's difficult for us to find lost things that we need immediately or aim properly at the keyhole when we are in a big hurry. Um,
Questions?
I have, yes, I'm just rebuffs.
Okay.
The practice of relaxation rebuffs.
Okay. When we're going to rebuff something, it's like to fight against it, to prevent it. So if a child is not relaxed, if the
Mhm.
child isn't relaxed, you're not going to get the child to do almost anything correctly. So the child has to get into a relaxed state of mind, which means that it is going to change that behavior. So that means rebuff, means to change.
Oh, okay. Thank you. A lot depends on the parent. If parents can calm themselves down, the child will learn how to react. Meanwhile, completing schoolwork at home is not conducive to this process.
Okay, this
All
word
the
is going to be
more
conducive, conducive.
conducive. Oh, thank you. Conducive to this process. All the more so because doing homework is not our only activity. We have the whole house on our mind and often our own work. Nevertheless, breathe with a child. Find relaxation techniques that suit you. One of them is, for example, finding a mental safe place. A child and a parent to imagine the safest place where they feel good and peaceful. For some, it is a bed, for others, a beach, for others, a meadow. There are children who say they feel best on lying back of a horse. Choosing a place is an arbitrary matter. It is important only that the place takes us to the right emotional state that will cause the letters in the book to return to their place. Oh,
Okay.
I didn't know.
So as you read this article, I think it's much
Mhm,
too long. Well, you only have a few more minutes to go. Okay, go ahead. Continue reading.
mhm.
What do you have any questions about that paragraph? What did you not know?
I didn't know the conducive. I thought that it's conductive, something like that, but I'm not sure.
It's
Conducive.
conducive. And conducive is it's very similar to conduct because you can see
Oh,
in conducive, but it means that it's available, it's possible for something to take place.
mm-hmm,
And conducted is something taking place. Conducive means that it is
mm-hmm,
possible to take place.
mm-hmm,
Conducted means that it has taken place.
Okay, thank you. Another thing is reading at the right pace. Many kids want to finish work as soon as possible, so they accelerate. The child usually only looks at the first few letters of the word and then guesses. When the guessings appear, I think it is best to stop the child from reading further. Instead, just cover the text and suggest breathing exercises or travel to an imaginary safe place. Take a short break, but don't leave the book only when the child calms down. Can he return to look at the sentence again? So
Any questions about that?
here's accelerate.
Okay, so if you're thinking about speeding something up, you want to do it faster. You want to accelerate.
Mm,
So the word accelerate
mm,
means to go faster.
mm-hmm,
Okay. Hi, Daria.
okay.
Hi,
Hi, Daria.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So, Daria, we're reading. I'll just ask you to start reading here. If your child has a problem,
Mhm.
Mhm. Uh, sh-
Daria,
should
Daria,
I read or Daria?
Daria.
Daria, please.
All right. If your child has a problem with motivation and is very often crawling under a desk, or running around the room instead of really working, I have found it helpful to use a chess clock. That is, we count the time that is spent on real learning. The child pushes the clock on his side, as well as time for additional activities. You press the clock on your side as soon as the digressions and free skirmishes start. You can use a real chess clock if you have one, or you can find one on the internet in the form of a free app. The goal is to show that breaks keep us away from our real free time. Then we do not need to do anything and we can really relax.
Okay. Any questions, Daria?
Uh, in parentheses, there is an expression, so I didn't get what does it mean.
What was the expression?
Yeah.
What
You press the clock on your side as soon as the digressions.
Okay, the child pushes a clock on his side. So I'm not exactly sure what this means, but in my mind, this is what I see and what I use with my own child. We were talking about children, we are talking about children with dyslexia. And dyslexia or individuals who have difficulty reading with fluency, a particular cadence, pronounce words correctly. This is not necessarily English speaking children. This is any culture child could have this problem, that they mispronounce words. They don't even see the words, I believe. Now, to keep the child on track, if you put a clock on the side of the child, just like a regular clock, so this is a regular clock, okay? So I'll put the clock so that the child can see the clock. The clock faces the child. And I will say, we will read for 5 minutes. With the 5 minutes that you're reading, it is my expectation that you will concentrate and focus. But if the child starts to
Hello, everyone.
hello, Haas, we'll be with you. In,
Hello, host.
if the child starts to squirm like, or playing with the pencil, I'll say, look at your clock. We still have some time. So if it doesn't stop or she doesn't stop squirming, we change the time back to the minutes that he has started, because we want to get 5 good minutes of reading. Do you understand, Doria?
Yes, I see now. But what about the digressions and free skirmishes?
What about the digression and free
Digression. Yes.
That was what I was describing. If you were reading, if the child is reading and he digresses, which is digressions, digression means to stop doing something. So if the child stops reading and starts to squirm and skirmish, that's skirmishing, okay? The child is not doing the activity. So we set the time back, okay?
Oh, I see. Thank you for the explanation.
Sure. Hello,
Yeah, thank you.
Haas, how are you?
I'm fine, doctor. What about you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for joining
How
us.
is life treating you?
Life is treating me very well. Today, we're talking about dyslexia in children. Astra was attending another class, and I was asking her about her day, and she was saying that she was listening to or talking with someone who was discussing dyslexia. And as I've often said, if you all come with a topic, we can always go into a topic that is of interest to you. So this is what we're doing now. Let me remind you, when the timer goes off today, that will be the end of the class. I will not hold another class today. But I am waiting for each of you to complete your assignment for yesterday. And your assignment every day, even if I do not host a class, I would expect, or I would like for you all to continue practicing, record your voice doing something so that you don't forget. It doesn't have to be about what I have talked about. It can be about something that you want to share with the group. All right.
Okay.
All right. So, Daria, do you have any other questions about what you just read?
No, I don't.
Haas, could you read create a success box?
Okay, but okay. I think the screen is small, doctor. Can you make it a little bigger? Okay. If your child has okay. If your child has a create a success box,
Mhm.
tossing cards with the description of everything that has been done well. Recently, my little client came up with the idea that he has three
Lives.
lives while reading one page. If he manages to fit in these three lives, only two mistakes while reading, the success card goes to the box anyway. Until then, I had applied the principle that the whole page should be read properly. However, it doesn't matter what rules we choose. The most important thing is that the rules are agreed jointly and provide the motivation for careful work.
Okay, any questions about that?
Um, okay. No. I think the paragraph is clear for me.
Okay, so each
What about the meaning of the word toss?
toss.
Yeah.
Read the sentence for me.
The first one, tossing cards with a description of everything that has been done well.
Okay, the word toss. So I have a piece of paper in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I tossed it. It means to throw.
Okay.
Toss means to throw. So each of you remember
Okay.
Astra, Daria, and Haas. You remember that I have a 7-year-old student who is from Germany. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we don't do tossing of cards, but there are, and he does not have dyslexia, but there are times I think he has 3 lives. And this is what he'll do. When he's reading, he will stand up and he'll go. Then he'll sit down. And sometimes he'll say, "Look, Priscilla, I have a dinosaur." The dinosaur has nothing to do with what we're reading. And I'll say, "So let's put your dinosaur on the table and let's finish reading." Can he read? Yes, your dinosaur can read. So he'll take his dinosaur and the dinosaur will start to read. Toss in cards with the description. My goal is for him to read and make sure that he can recognize the letters of the sounds of the alphabet. So with his 2 or 3 lives, he has accomplished the goal. So in this section, it says that sometimes this person has 3 lives. That just means he does things differently, but they still have one goal, and that is to read and comprehend correctly. All right, so Astra started out with letting me know that she was listening to something about dyslexia. How beneficial is this article, Astra?
You mean here that information was kind of new for me. I didn't know how to calm down their students to get their attention. I mean, there to find the place. It was so nice. I didn't know about that, and also the toss also was kind of new for me.
Okay.
And also I like it how they're kind of there was that one
Okay. Super.
to give some kind of exercises to calm down, kind of breathing exercises, and travel to imaginary safe place. That part I like it also.
What I found as an educator, even if a child has dyslexia, Normal children, as I was just describing my one student, they they tend to have some similarities based upon their age. Smaller children do not have a sense of time. Like my student asked, how much time do we have left? We may have been in class 10 minutes. But if we're doing a game, oh, the game goes so fast. But if we're reading or doing something that he
Mhm.
doesn't want to do, it just seems like to him, is it time to go yet? No, we still have 20 minutes. It's like so long. And even while he's asking me those questions, we're not accomplishing anything because I'm trying to
Okay.
ask, get him to do a particular thing. And on Monday, we always play a game. Oh, I wish it was Monday so we could play a game. Well, it's not Monday, and we may not be able to play a game on Monday if we don't get this done today. Okay. And I have to sometimes resort to, I'm going to have to send your mother a note about your class. But oh, no, 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 no. So it's not always the child with dyslexia. Daria, have you had any experience with children with dyslexia? I know the students that you teach are older than elementary though, but have you had
Oh,
any?
doctor?
Well,
Haas,
I haven't
Haas,
come
wait for
across.
Daria to respond.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've been teaching for about 7 years, but I haven't come across such kind of students yet.
Okay, great. Yes, Haas.
Mhm. Doctor, I just have a question for you. It's about the term dyslexia, the meaning of the term.
Okay. Astra, could you explain to Haas what dyslexia means?
Lexia, it's kind of lexicon, kind of lexia, as I understand, it's kind of word. This, it's kind of missing some of the words while reading the text. Dyslexia, it means kind of concerning the reading skills, but also there's another part of the dyslexia. It calls uh, um, just a minute, dysgraphia and dyscalculia. It means a math learning disability. Dysgraphia, it means a writing disability. Graphia, it's writing. This, it's I
Mm-hmm,
think missing something.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
You mean that
so
dyslexia is a problem that is related to the reading and the writing skills, right?
yes, and also math learning disabilities, and also there's another one is dyspraxia. It's difficulty when the person have difficulties with movement. I think
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
praxia is kind of movement. I think it means movement.
Similar,
Is it?
similar to what I was telling you about the student standing up, moving around.
Uh-huh.
So,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Haas, if you were a dyslexic child, you might read this article this way. You don't mention the words that are crossed out because you don't see them, and the words that are transposed would
Mm-hmm.
be rubbing sometimes. In this paragraph, you'll see rubbing sometimes, but it should be sometimes rubbing, and expressions difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That is what a dyslexia child might see. But the child may read
Uh,
the children in coronavirus, whatever this word is, coronavirus era still have dyslexia, but now the PAR S for how the handles duties. The
mhm.
child doesn't even recognize that they have missed words. Yes, Daria.
Well, just a concrete example crossed my mind.
Yes.
I have a friend who is pharmacist. So he used to say that she was at dyslexia, but she's a pharmacist, very smart woman.
Yes.
But she has pharmacia. Sorry, she has dyslexia. She said, I am good at English, but I cannot read English.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, but I can't speak. I think she has difficulty in speaking English.
Right. And that is quite
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
possible. The fact,
yeah,
Daria,
because of dyslexia.
the fact that the fact that they have dyslexia doesn't mean that they're not smart. They can
Yeah,
be very intelligent. It's just that they have
yeah.
to work a little harder at doing things a little bit slower and focused to make sure
Mhm.
that what typically would be omitted that they will do. Hello, Ezra. How are you?
Hi,
Hello,
I am
Ezra.
fine. And you?
Hello.
Welcome to class. All right.
Yes, I was on driving. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Remember, there is no particular time for the classes. It's just fortunate that it is happening at this particular time. Daria, can you explain to Ezra what you think we're doing today?
Extra, today we are talking about dyslexia. What is dyslexia? And people who have dyslexia, what do they do? Or we are just discussing about dyslexia, I can say. It's a kind of
Okay.
disorder related to learning.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
thank you.
Do you have any
Yes,
questions? Oh, so you are familiar with dyslexia?
Yes, I know. Yes,
Okay, very good.
because one of my students has dyslexia also, and I am familiar with this problem.
Okay, so what are some of the things that you do to teach your student that has dyslexia?
Uh,
What are some of the
for
things that you do?
example, he can't write well, and also some, for example, he can make have some difficulties between some letters. For example, B to D. He read that B means D, or for example, number six. He said that it is 9. Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
He can also see from the brain. I don't know the problem. He can also reverse side of the letters and the numbers.
Yes, absolutely. So those are some of the things that one can do. So what do you do, Ezra, to help him get things correct in his mind?
We just wait when he wants to learn, when he wants to speak, when he wants to read, and he also goes so slowly, but it doesn't matter. But he's also a really intelligent boy. He can draw really interesting drawings, figures,
Mhm.
and so we are working together still.
Okay, fantastic. So as I was saying, even though a child or an individual that's not a child has dyslexia, they can be very intelligent. They can have wonderful jobs, but they may not work so well in a crowd or with a group of people. As an example would be a pharmacist. A pharmacist doesn't necessarily work with a group of people because there's typically one or two pharmacists in the building and they have assistants. The pharmacist just needs to concentrate on getting the numbers and the names correct, but there is also an assistant that will read the prescription, hopefully, also before giving it to someone like myself as the patient. So, very nice reading and a very good discussion today. We have
Doctor, what does the verb pounding mean?
spell the word for me.
Pound, P-O-U-N-D.
Okay,
Pound.
is there a sentence?
Yeah.
Yes.
The child can be pounding on the book with fists.
Okay, this is my fist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to read the book,
Okay.
so I'm
Mm-hmm.
just doing something that is distracting. And again, the child is probably suffering from anxiety or stress, and we need to just wait for the child to calm down and is ready. And for this reason, you might want to have the clock. We're going to spend 5 minutes on this particular activity, but we need you to focus. So when the child starts to pound on the book, it becomes obvious that he or she isn't reading, so the clock stops. And we start the time again when the child is calm.
Okay.
Ezra, when the time ends for today's class, I will not start the class again. The class will be over. Every day, even if we don't have class, you should record something that you've done that day just to stay in practice.
Okay.
And today's topic is one that Astra came in first, and we were just talking, and she was telling me about her day. So we found this article about dyslexia because she was listening to someone else talk about this dyslexia. And remember, if you have a topic, you can suggest that topic, and maybe we can talk about it. Okay? Any questions about what
Okay.
so far?
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
What about
Sorry,
the word
how can
sleep
I
up,
achieve
doctor?
this? Sorry, how
Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead as
achieve
well.
this
Yes,
page?
as I'll send you the link. I'll post a link in
Okay.
Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, Haas.
I'm wondering the word sleep up, please. The meaning of the word, please, doctor.
What? Read the sentence for me.
A second sleep up, and the
Okay.
I don't know the
A
word.
slip up means mistake. Okay. Oops. I slipped up. I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Slip up means making a mistake.
Okay.
So when the child is
Okay.
reading and because of their attention deficit, although Astra has said that attention deficit is not necessarily dyslexia. It
Mm-hmm.
seems that it is dyslexia, but attention deficit isn't dyslexia. However, a child can have dyslexia and attention deficit, but it's not always the case. So attention deficit means that, what was I doing? I forgot. That's attention deficit. In my case, it
Mm-hmm.
might be that I'm just getting older. So that's what attention. So a slip up is to forget, oh, and they made another mistake. Okay,
Okay.
great question. Anything else?
I was just wondering if this problem can be solved if we take our child, for example, to an orthophonist. Is that the correct word, doctor?
Well, if it's a child, it's probably a pediatrician. An orthodontist is someone with the tooth. I think it can be treated with medicine, but it probably cannot. There's not a cure
Mm-hmm.
for dyslexia. What will help is if the child recognizes that they have the problem and they have good teachers that will work with them, like Ezra, then they can achieve so much more. But if the child is in a class where there's so many other students, then you've got to deal with the students who's teasing him or harassing the child. Like, oh my God, don't let him read anymore. He's so slow. So, and then when you put children with dyslexia in special classes, if they mix them with children who are not so smart, then it makes them not challenged and then they don't become smart. The best thing, if the parent could afford to have the student privately taught, the child will probably fare better. So, that's a great question, but medicine can help, but there's not a cure for dyslexia. Great question. Okay, anyone else has a topic?
Well, personally, I'm surprised this is the first time I hear about the term. I've already passed through the experience of teaching little kids at the primary school, a private school. I taught them French, and I've never faced this problem with one of them. And as all of you, we all passed with the primary school. I do not remember I had a classmate that had this problem.
It doesn't mean that, and that is quite possible. That is quite possible. And some children can have dyslexia and it's mild. It's hardly noticeable. It may be seen as a behavior problem as opposed to dyslexia. Some children will mask it and they will act out they will act up. They will do things to distract the teacher because the child doesn't necessarily know why he can't read. So it takes special recognition on the teacher's part, and the teacher needs some type of training, which we rarely get. And with the education in the US, we have so many students in the classroom that's, to me, half of them may be labeled or they may have a problem. They just have not been identified as such. So if your specialty is not in special needs, you probably would not recognize it anyway.
Okay, so the problem is not related to a certain category of age. It can
No.
appear at any age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gary had mentioned that a pharmacist that she knows has dyslexia, and this is an adult. So no, it's not a particular age.
Okay.
As I remember, one of my friends, American friends, so in the US, he was telling me that his son also has some problems in reading, and he was just saying that he reads, how can I say, jumping the sentence words. I think in the sentence is kind of bouncing. So he was reading just one word, then he didn't read, then he read the next one, and he was making some charts, big charts, to let him to practice at home also.
Exactly.
And I don't know, right now he's a teenage boy, and I don't know what is his kind of reading skills right now.
Okay. Now, when you're in elementary school, when you're reading, we try to read word for word, right? But as an adult, when I'm reading a book, I don't read word for word. I might leave out an entire sentence because I get the gist of what the book is about. So you don't have to read word for word. So you learn how to compensate. But learning how to compensate starts very early. So if you don't start compensating early, then people just stop reading, but they can be very good with their hands and their mind. They can be great swimmers, they can be great speakers, they can be great builders of things, but not necessarily great readers. Now, when a person that's dyslexic gets into a car, they won't forget to put the key in the ignition. You know, they don't forget things like that. They won't forget the traffic lights. They may not read the signs, but they can still get from one location to another. All right. Anything else?
Okay.
Any other topic? No other topic? Okay, well, we can end the class now then, before it even finishes.
That was an interesting topic.
Well, thank you, Hans.
Yeah.
What was most interesting? So the timer just popped up. We have 10 minutes remaining.
Okay, I liked everything about it. I liked the tips, especially that was given at the end of the text. While you were explaining, Doctor, I was reading the last paragraph, and I pointed out some tips to deal with children that have that problem. And I like the order of the ideas, the ranking of the idea in the article itself. And as I already said, I've never faced this problem. I know I'm familiar with it. I can deal with it.
Okay. Well, and I would say when you say you can deal with it, working with children with dyslexia, especially if you have a lot of them, it probably isn't the most easiest of things to do, even though you may be aware of it. I don't necessarily think that it's something that you can easily deal with it, but having information will certainly serve you well. Let's take a look at some words as we continue to talk about the session today. And remember, when the time runs out, this will be the end of the class. Every day you should record something that you've learned, even if we don't have class. You can also go to, as a reminder, you don't have to look at any particular video, but try to make a comment on every video, because I think that you all are expecting me to make comments for you, that the little thing that I ask is just find the video and make a comment on it. It's not necessary that you listen to the entire video, but if you find a short one, it probably will serve you well to do that. And here is our, share my screen. Here are some words that you can talk about today's lesson. Let's see if I can find. Here are our collocations. I don't know if you can see them well, Haas, but here are our synonyms. So today we talked about the word dyslexia. And dyslexia is a symptom that creates a little bit of confusion, what we would consider confusion in the brain. We have the notion that most of the time people can perform in a certain way. And perhaps even animals such as cats, felines, tigers, and bears, or any other, even amphibians, they may very well have some form of dyslexia, but I don't know. What remains to be seen is how are we going to choose from the variety of ways to work with students. Some students have emotional problems, and it is a speculation that it takes a teacher with a specific skill to understand how to establish rules and procedures for the child. As we read the article and viewed some of the examples, it became a little easier to understand how we might interact with the child. I didn't use the word creatures, but I could have, I guess, if I talked about felines. This is just here. You can create, as I've said, your own list of words. It doesn't have to be this list of words, but you want to start developing some type of strategy to help you use these words so that these words come to your mind automatically. So Haas, let's see if we can talk about this article using at least 3 of the words and maybe talk for 15 seconds. Okay, you may begin when you're ready.
Okay. So in this lesson, we talked about the notion of dyslexia. It is known by a variety of symptoms.
Okay, thanks. That's 15
it can
seconds.
be viewed.
That's 15 seconds. Ezra, 15 seconds.
Okay. Today we talk about dyslexia problems, and it is a certain problem about brain, about reading skills, and the students have some emotional problems with them, and there are speculations that.
Thank you, Ezra. Daria, 15 seconds. Daria.
There is a certain notion that dyslexia, people who have dyslexia can be smart as well. So we can establish some activities for them. There are a variety of
Astra. Thank you, Astra.
So, today I established my own online classes to learn about the notion of dyslexia, and it has variety difficulties learning in it. So it was very interesting.
Thank you, Astra. Okay, so you see, you have to think quickly. Ezra, did you go? Ezra, did you go?
I am here.
Did you? Did you?
Yes,
go?
I did. Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, so you see, just doing little things like that helps you determine how well you're grasping words. Okay, we're going to go again. After you use 2 words, please stop because the time is going to end. Haas, you may go first. 15 seconds.
Okay. Okay, the symptoms can be viewed in cannot be viewed in a certain category of age. it can be viewed for
Okay, thank you.
in case of
Thank
adults
you,
too.
Daria.
Even though we can establish some activities for dyslexia, there is no certain cure for that.
Okay, great. Ezra.
Yes, there are some varieties of reading problems. For example, one of them is dyslexia, and
Astra.
these
Astra.
We can observe from the kids with dyslexia, so negative emotions, also stressful emotions.
Great, thanks. So you see that once these words come to you, you find a word, you put it in your head. There's a notion that creatures are not dyslexic. I don't know. Or there are a variety of situations where dyslexia appears and we have to establish quality situations, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so just make a game out of how you want to use words that you've learned from the article today, and make learning fun. It's not going to be like ha 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 fun, but it doesn't have to be boring. 5 or 10 minutes a day, like I say to you. I know when you do your videos, you spend more than 5 minutes preparing because you think, I want to get it right. But it's not like you're doing 30 minutes. It should not take you 30 minutes. And if it does take you 30 minutes, that should be a strategy or a goal that you should work toward. You should work toward making it not so long. It doesn't have to be so verbose with so many words. Focus on the words that you want to be sure that you were able to use. And when you can do that with fluency, then you start to add yet another sentence and it becomes easier and easier and easier. I am going to go to English chat at the end of this session. So if you all want to join me in English chat, that's where I'll be. And the administration doesn't start recording. Well, I'm going to try. When I tried to get into internet today with a live video, it did not allow me to do so. So if it allows me to do so, then I'll be going live in English chat within the next 5 minutes. So if you can't find me, then that's why. It was because I couldn't get on. Any questions? Any questions? Okay,
No, not for me.
We'll listen for your takeaways. Yes?
Dr. Priscilla, what about our preparation duration? Takes 15 minutes. Is it all right or too long?
That too is too, well, you should set a goal for what you should be doing. A goal should be to be able to do it in 5 minutes. But if you're doing it for additional practice, then that's good. So I can't say what is too long, but the goal is not for you not to spend more than 10 minutes. So that's your goal. But until you learn the goal, you've got to go through the process. So you see how long it took me to learn how to do Zoom? And Zoom really is like 2 minutes, but I spent like 20 minutes trying to do it. Do you understand? So if I say you should be able to do it in 20 minutes, that is the goal you should work toward. You should work toward being